Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Startup Talks. It's a known fact that any ecosystem grows when there is collective effort, and no individual can contribute by themselves towards growth on a mass scale. And in Pakistan, the startup ecosystem has been thriving. 2021 was a record year. It's a known fact to everybody, and the whole community has played a huge role in that. But one such segment of society has to be given much more credit. It is the Pakistani diaspora living in the Western world, most of them in the US, and they have contributed immensely to this growth and to this expansion and in helping in creating opportunities. To represent the diaspora here today, I've got Mr. Anwar Khan. He himself is a digital payments expert for over 35 years, based out of the US, currently in Pakistan. And we're going to talk about his own journey, his own experiences as well. The initiative started by him and a group of other people called Aspire Pakistan. It's a non-profit organization registered in the US, contributing to the ecosystem in Pakistan, and which eventually led to the creation of a National Idea Bank, which is also endorsed by the President of Pakistan. And they're having nationwide competitions, and their main conference for finalists is being planned towards the end of January. Assalamu alaikum, Anwar Saab. How are you doing today, sir? Thank you very much for being here.
Walaikum salam. Good to be here.
That's great, sir. I hope I've done justice to the introduction.
Bilkul. I think, Alhamdulillah, you have put in the right perspective.
Sure, sir. That's great. Anwar Saab, before we move on to Aspire, let's talk about you first. You've been living in the US, you've been part of several startups, started several companies yourself, some of them have been acquired. What was your own journey like? कैसी लाइफ गुजरी है आपकी स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम में?
Yeah, just quickly, I grew up in Lahore.
Okay.
And तो वहीं से UET लाहौर से इंजीनियरिंग की थी, इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग में BSc किया था. तो उसके बाद आगे पढ़ने का शौक था. उस सिलसिले में फिर did my masters in electrical engineering from University Hawaii. जब मैं फिनिश कर रहा था अपनी ग्रेजुएशन, so I was introduced into Bill Melton, who had started a very small company. There were only 3 people. So I joined as an employee number 4, so part of the founding team, and we worked very hard for 15 years and turned that company into a major success called Verifone. Verifone is the leader in payments, and so that was a great journey. But that was a good journey started for me not only on the payments domain front, fintech front, but also on the entrepreneurship front as well. Being a part of the founding team, it gets into your DNA. Yeah. And so after Verifone was sold to Hewlett Packard for $1.2 billion, and about a year later, I started my own company called VivoTech. That was in January. It was in 2001. At that time, my objective was, and credit card, debit cards were being paid by about 1 billion people, mostly rich people, middle class people. But what I wanted to see that all the 6 billion people at that time, now alhamdulillah, there are more than 7.5 billion people around the world, they should be able to make payment electronically. Yeah. And I saw that it would be mobile too, could enable them, because everybody was going to use mobile. And alhamdulillah, that has happened. Over 13 years at VivoTech, I drove NFC technology, contactless technology, because you could not swipe your phone or even insert your phone like in a smart card reader. And so that's why I drove this NFC contactless technology. And that became a major success now, and globally is being rolled out. And many countries you're tapping to pay, or you're tapping your phone to pay, like Apple Pay or Google Pay or those type of things.
Yeah.
But that's gave me, between the experience of Verifone and VivaTech, gave me a great confidence that once you are determined, once you have a vision and you believe in it and have a faith in it, you can make it happen. It's just a matter of time. But it also, you have to engage the ecosystem to make it happen, because that's what it takes. And then I had my third startup, and that we've been working on under OmniWay, seamless shopping experience type of solution. But just now it's about, I'm going to be 64 by end of this month. And so looking back, and about a year plus ago, I said, we need to go give back to Pakistan. I was engaged in China in 98, 99 timeframe, where China had only 6 million internet users, and they were very initial stage on this high-tech phenomena. They are big into it now. And then obviously remotely watched and what happened with India as well. But in both cases, overseas Pakistanis played very important role in the early jumpstart for both of these countries. And that was basically, my strong belief was that we overseas Pakistanis, we have learned very different, perspective of, making successful in a business integrity point of view, and then domain knowledge. Many of us have various different domain knowledge. So that's what drove me spending time, allocating my time more for Pakistan. And I was lucky to connect with Hassan Syed, who had started on that journey, but a little more than a year earlier than myself, and had already paved the road, what we are now calling Aspire Pakistan. And this Aspire Pakistan, basically our objective is to create a platform where we can bring all these overseas Pakistanis around the world, no matter what different experiences they have, just have passion to give back to Pakistan, and allow a platform for them to contribute in their own respect, based on their time available they have, based on the domain knowledge they have, based on various different experiences, and also financially, that some of us, we also have been investing into startup. So that's one aspect of it, of Aspire Pakistan. Other aspect of it, we have taken initiative. Again, it was started by Hassan more than 2 years ago, what we call Pak 100, to drive more than 100 startups in Pakistan for Pakistan by year 2023. Alhamdulillah, we already have 16 startups which have been incorporated, which are working or have developed an MVP, and we have some of them, we have invested in them, and they're doing well, and we have a great number in pipeline. Now, to enable those things, we run through boot camps, like it used to be 3-day boot camp. Now we have turned into 5-day boot camps, and bring these young graduates, bring these young entrepreneurs, train them to the mindset that needed to have a successful startup, right? Successful startup means you have to have a right business model, you have to have a right go-to-market strategy, you have to have a right approach for MVP, and all of those things, what it takes to turn a startup into a successful business. So that's initiative number one. Initiative number two, what we call National Idea Bank, was because there are various different opportunities and challenges in Pakistan, which have been sometimes chronic challenges for a long time, have not been addressed. So we said, okay, how we can address them through a private sector. So we launched this National Idea Bank, was well supported by the President of Pakistan, Dr. Alvi, and he inaugurated that program in February 2021. And we reached out to about 25 million people to give ideas to solve problems in 6 different sectors. So sectors like health, sector like agriculture, construction, as well as e-commerce, and so and natural resources aspect of things. And Alhamdulillah, we received 2,000, about 80 ideas in those addressing issues in those different 6 sectors. We assigned 300 judges, and our team worked very hard to go through city level competition from these ideas coming from nationwide. Alhamdulillah, from in any part of the Pakistan, you think of people that contributed ideas, and then we rolled it up to the provincial level competition, And now we're going to national level competition. Winners would be announced on January 27th
Mm-hmm.
at Sir Syed Memorial Hall. And President Pakistan, he giving out awards to the winners
Yeah.
in person, and as well as that day of January 27th, we have made that Pakistan Innovates to bring the other ecosystem players together as well to
Okay.
talk about what they're doing, and so we can collaborate not only through an Aspire Pakistan platform, but also additional initiatives that other people have taken. And again, as you rightly said, through collaboration, through ecosystem play, we can make things happen because things, they take good momentum that way, rather than at an individual level.
That's great, sir.
So,
This is.
and we have additional initiatives. One other initiative which is very important to mention is to through both of these initiatives of Pak 100 as well as NIB, we are turning these, by the way, National Idea Bank ideas into startups as well,
Mm-hmm.
because we want that to turn those ideas into commercial implementation. And that's only possible. Take those teams who submitted the ideas, help them to make their startups very successful. So
Mm-hmm.
all these startups, we want to find ways to fund them.
Yeah.
We want to find them to provide mentorship and advising roles. So we have created a Pak 100 Angels Fund
Mm-hmm.
that allows any overseas Pakistanis to be able to participate in funding these startups,
Mm-hmm.
whether they have $500 or 1,000 or 10,000, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And at the same time, any of these overseas Pakistanis who have a domain knowledge and who have expertise in entrepreneurship and business, building business, to be able to provide advising roles to these startups.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of a forum is going to be extremely useful and would allow any one of us to participate uh, very effective into these various different startups and make them
Mm-hmm.
highly successful, inshallah.
That's great, sir. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm taking this opportunity of speaking with you as an absolute learning experience for myself as well. But before I proceed, since you mentioned and I didn't know this, I want to wish you a happy birthday in advance. Right? You
Thank you
are
very much.
64, but you are young and kicking and still rocking the ecosystem. And it's good to see and to have people like you supporting all this young talent that is just waiting to explode like a volcano in Pakistan. Whatever
Absolutely.
contributions you are making, I'm all in myself. If anybody needs any help with regards to mentoring, with regards to any sort of questions that need to be
Absolutely.
answered, I'm willing to pitch in, and that's what Startup Talks is all about. What,
Absolutely.
Anwar sir, uh, Aspire or National Idea Bank has collaborated with many universities as well in Pakistan, and I'm sure quite a bit of these startups have come out with the support of these universities. So, how's that model of collaboration with universities working?
Excellent. So I think, as we said that we overseas Pakistan, we cannot do anything sitting, here outside of Pakistan.
Yeah.
We need the feet on the ground, and especially we need the participation of major ecosystem players
Mm-hmm.
who are can play important critical role. And one of those ecosystem players are the educational institutions.
Mm-hmm.
So academia, we are working with them, and National Idea Bank is a very good example where Sir Syed University took a lead role in terms of from the academia
Mm-hmm.
to work with us as a co-host and be able to drive this program.
Yeah.
So we have about 50 people working on this National Idea Bank.
Mm-hmm.
30 are from overseas Pakistanis, and 20 are from local within the local based and people, and including a number of people from Sasaya University.
Mm-hmm.
Equally, during this city level competition and the provincial level competitions, various different universities, they played very important role. For
Mm-hmm.
example, we did conduct the city level and provincial level competition in Karachi at Karachi University.
Mhm.
and Karachi University in a Oracle department, which is the innovation department. They hosted that and
Mhm.
drove that, participating and making that event happen.
Mhm.
So is the case of UET Lahore, did
Mhm.
that thing for the provincial event for Punjab, for
Mhm.
example, and same thing from Peshawar, UET Peshawar, and many other universities. They
Mhm.
played very important role. So that's just showing that there's an increasing interest by the academia to participate in.
Mhm.
Equally, what we are doing is that businesses we want to engage and bring academia and businesses together as well.
Mhm.
One of the challenge that we have that we need to overcome, the young graduates as they as they come out of the different universities,
Mhm.
they are not fully productive
Mhm.
for the businesses, and
Yeah.
so they have to go through an learning and hands-on experience. So
Mhm.
we are finding ways to in the short term address that issue, and at the same time, and how we can make them more productive
Mhm.
through the boot camps or through simple trainings. But at the same time, we are encouraging universities
Mhm.
to offer building business and working ethics and all those areas.
Mhm.
That's very important to to be very productive in the business side. So that's an aspect. So we are on one side we are working with the academia. On other side we are working with the businesses. On third side we are working with the government as well. Not to depend on government on any financial help point of view, but rather to work with the government to how they can make further easier to do business.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we tend to identify areas that things are a little more complicated, or it could be in a proper motivation can be put in place by the government through the policies.
Mhm.
And Alhamdulillah, government is also responding very, very positively in that regard as well.
Mhm.
But again, we believe that the private sector needs to move on its own.
Yeah.
That's what we have seen in other countries. That's what we would take within Pakistan, inshallah, to grow and its economy in the coming years.
Sure, that's great. It's absolutely wonderful that you have managed to engage the government on this, because any government anywhere for any country in the world, they are the most resourceful. And once they get on the train with whoever is willing to bring the change, that's when we see real impact happen. So that's absolutely wonderful. What are future plans for Aspire? You are trying to take on board the private sector as well. What about other institutions or other players within the ecosystem, like incubation centers or accelerators? Any future plans on making a collective effort with them on board?
Absolutely, all of the above. We have been already working with various different incubators, including NIC
Yeah.
as well,
Mhm.
and that's number one, because it's always better to leverage what already exists
Mhm.
and make it effective. For example, Hassan Sayed and I joined, and on one of the day he ran a boot camp uh, with the incubators and from the various different universities
Mhm.
in Sindh.
Mhm.
That was conducted in Karachi
Mhm.
for 2 days,
Mhm.
and it was very, very effective in that
Mhm.
regard. Also,
Mhm.
uh, at the same time, we are increasing um, participation of overseas Pakistanis.
Okay.
So we have been running a campaign right now
Mhm.
to not only watch and see the winners
Mhm.
of National Idea Bank
Yeah.
and other speakers of the ecosystem that we were invited to speak
Mhm.
on January 27 at the Pakistan Innovates Conference
Yeah.
on January 27. At
Mhm.
the same time, we are encouraging them to sign up for Aspire Pakistan, because we want more uh, a bigger team
Mhm.
of overseas Pakistanis.
Yeah.
So at aspirepk.org
Yeah.
is so aspirepk.org
Yeah.
is the place to go and sign up free
Mhm.
as a membership.
Mhm.
And then and as part of sign up, you identify your area of domain. What would you like to do? What would you prefer, whether you like to advise or various different things that we have asked. And accordingly, we would love to have the participation of every overseas Pakistanis in that regard. So on one side, we are expanding in terms of initiatives that we are driving. On other side, we want a much bigger forum so that more overseas Pakistanis can contribute. We have seen that thing they want. There is a passion. We just need to make this a platform available. Easily they can join and participate. And third is get all the various ecosystems fully engaged and engage in terms of very specific projects, because that's the only way. Conversation and be able to come into conference and just talk is not going to cut in. By driving tangible projects that have end results, very clear end results and KPIs, I think that's the only way. And that we have seen NIB, National Idea Bank project, which is annual project actually. Annually, and we're going to run through the same kind of competition, goes all the way to national level. It's amazingly how it has engaged various people from academia, from the government, from the business, as well as from Aspire Pakistan, which are overseas Pakistanis.
Anwar Sam, I'm really actually this conversation I'm enjoying it very much and it's actually getting me very excited. वो कहते हैं ना, जैसे बच्चे को कहते हैं कि बच्चे को आप थोड़ा फ्री छोड़ें, बस उसको डायरेक्शन दिखा दें, वो डायरेक्शन में खुद ही चला
Absolutely,
जाएगा. और
absolutely,
ये एस्पायर जो कर रहा है, इट्स एब्सोल्युटली अमेजिंग कि वो डायरेक्शन जो है वो बच्चों को दिखा रहा है. और इससे बड़ा आप उसको सदका जारिया कह लें या इनिशिएटिव कह लें या किसी ज़बान में कुछ भी कह लें, बट इससे बड़ी जो है वो एफर्ट मेरे नज़दीक हो नहीं सकती, जो अपने ही लोगों को, अपनी कम्युनिटी को, ज़रूरी नहीं है पाकिस्तान में, और बाहर भी करते होंगे और करते हैं फॉर अ फैक्ट. इट्स एब्सोल्युटली अमेजिंग. अच्छा, moving on, Anwar Saab, since we are short of time, but I'm actually taking this opportunity as a learning experience for me as well. Just want to shift away from Aspire a little bit. Earlier on in the conversation, when you were talking about your own experiences, you told you have been very lucky to have witnessed the initial stages of tech innovation in China. Pakistan was actually among the first friends of the country, established the first embassy in China. PIA was the first international carrier that started flying to China when the
yep,
countries had not even decided to open up, right? So you've experienced all of those things. Um, Being a digital payments expert, the fintech sector in Pakistan is just exploding right now, and investments for VCs, they are fintechs are a hot cake right now globally and in Pakistan as well. आप क्या समझते हैं पाकिस्तान में डिजिटल पेमेंट्स और जो फिनटेक स्पेस है? You've been here for several months. Where do you think is it heading in the right direction? What room is there to play in, and what needs to be done in your perspective?
and absolutely. I think you're rightly said that we are on a pivoting point here in Pakistan when it comes to fintech,
Mm-hmm.
and whether it's digital banking.
Yeah.
Government has taken some very positive steps in that direction
Mm-hmm.
to encourage digital banking, which is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, on the payment side, one of the very important initiatives that was taken by State Bank of Pakistan was releasing the APIs
Mm-hmm.
for what they call RAS,
Mm-hmm.
RAS.
Yeah.
And that RAS API, set of APIs are the core fundamental how money would be transferred has already started actually. And
Mm-hmm.
I see on my HBL banking app that
Mm-hmm.
I could pay with RAS now,
Mm-hmm.
where the money can transfer directly from one bank account to another bank account once authentication has taken place. And to authenticate, Nadra has played excellent role. I think Nadra is one of the very successful institution here in Pakistan, in my view,
Mm-hmm.
based on what they have done and how they're digitizing, not only authentication of people, but then how to plug this authentication of people into various different applications, including these payments as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so that becomes extremely important when you're moving money from one bank account to another one. So not only for person-to-person payment, the RAS is already started, but RAS is going to play a very important role for the payments at the merchant locations, whether e-commerce, physical and stores, or e-commerce. The reason I say that thing is one of the core reason in China, Alipay and WeChat Pay, they grew so fast, where they represented more than it's basically around $20 trillion of commerce takes place over Alipay, WeChat Pay, and some other digital payment schemes offered in China, just within 9 years time frame. Just within 9 years time frame, it took off. The reason was, it's basically they came up with the infrastructure that did not require merchants to pay very high transaction fee. So rather than paying 300 basis points, which is about 3% the merchant pays today, merchant in China for Alipay, WeChat Pay, in China, they pay 3 basis points or 5 basis points, sometimes 0. So we need that kind of very low overhead payment infrastructure. And China did it based on some limitation they had. But today, we have come a long way on technology side. We have come a long way through the APIs. And now with this RAS API, we believe that I strongly believe we can have that kind of payment platform that's more advanced than in China, in my view, in Pakistan. And so the time has come where not only traditional payments could be applied, whether Visa, MasterCard, those type of, but at the same time, digital payments, whether it's Easy Pesa and Jazz Cash or other ones who could apply, or I could be able to make a payment from my bank account directly at a merchant location. I should be able to do that thing as a consumer, and every merchant should be able to accept those things. We are not there yet, but inshallah we can get there. I do see that things coming.
That's great, sir. Thank you very much for that feedback of yours. Last question I have to squeeze in over here, Anwar Saab. Do you have any message to the players in the ecosystem, the startup founders, young people graduating from universities? I'm a firm believer that small businesses and these startups will be the driving force behind creating all the opportunities of tomorrow, right? So do you have any message for them? And through this platform, what message would you like to give to the larger Pakistani diaspora, not only in the US, but in Europe, in Australia, and all other countries? They're all over the world. What message would you like to give them?
I think I would say the timing is perfect. Besides the technology and whether you take your name internet and your mobile and cloud, all of those things, they have paved the road and made it life much easier to implement digitally. Number one. The most important thing that we got as Pakistan is our young generation. This young generation grew with internet access. They grew access to the rest of the world as well as in Pakistan. They think very different. They not only think about themselves, they think about social needs. They need to think about their duty for their country as well, how they can help. So that level of mindset, I've not seen that thing in the past in Pakistan. And this is pretty broad, and the level of excitement they have, what the difference they can make. And that is the reason why these startups, all of a sudden, they are all mostly young people engaged into these various different startups. And they are making things happen. So when they're making things happen, we can help them to do it right. And we who have learned how to do business, who have learned various different advanced technologies, and who have learned in terms of what the integrity, in terms of the mindset it takes to grow the business, and the level of quality that is expected as a standard from the rest of the world. We must need to bring those know-how in Pakistan and work with our young generation and take it forward. I think that's why every one of us can contribute hugely. And that's why Aspire Pakistan is, I think, a platform that we have made available, open to join and able to participate. It's a non-profit organization, and the objective is to really give back to Pakistan.
Wonderful message, sir. This conversation was truly a good learning experience for me. If there is any support from my side, I can contribute individually. If the startups you are supporting, if they need एक छोटा सा उनको मेंटोर और चाहिए तो मैं भी अवेलेबल हूँ, राइट?
Absolutely.
कोई मेरी तरफ से हेल्प हो सकती है, I'd love to do that.
Inshallah.
And it was wonderful talking to you, sir. Hopefully we'll meet in person. Happy birthday in advance again to you, and
Appreciate that.
best of luck with the Idea Bank conference happening on the 27th. Best of luck to you,
Absolutely.
sir.
And by the way, I look at 64 as just going into middle age.
You are, sir. You are.
It's in the heart as in the mind.
Yeah,
So
you
absolutely,
are,
alhamdulillah.
sir. Your efforts speak for themselves, and you are rocking the age. You're not 64. You're 46, I think, and life begins at 40.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, Anwar Saab. Lovely speaking to you. Hopefully, we'll do this again in person sometime.
Great. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Absolutely.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum Assalam.